If you keep stepping over the doormat in front of your house every single day without paying attention, you might be stepping on your very chance to become wealthy and change your destiny without even realizing it. It may sound strange, but in Feng Shui, the front door is where the best energy enters. It is the heaven's gateway that channels money, career, and good fortune into your life. But if the doormat placed right in front of that door is positioned incorrectly, even just a tiny detail, that positive energy cannot come through. Many people do not realize this. They leave old, torn, crooked, or mismatched colored mats at their door, and then wonder why money does not flow in, why work keeps stalling, or why misfortunes drag on endlessly. Subscribe right now, because in just a few minutes, you will discover 5 disastrous mistakes that millions of people are unknowingly making, and how to fix them immediately so good fortune can return to your home. Before we begin, leave a comment saying, "I allow good things to step into my home today." This is not just a phrase. It is a signal you are sending to the universe. In Feng Shui, the front door is not just an entryway. It is the mouth of energy, the place where the house breathes in streams of energy from the universe. To put it simply, if a house is a living body, the front door is the mouth. From here, everything, light, air, fortune, wealth, or even misfortune, can enter. For people in the East, the front door marks the beginning of destiny. Interestingly, environmental psychology in the West also supports this. The front door sets the first impression not only for guests, but also for the people living there. Walking through a bright, clean, harmonious entrance uplifts your mood and naturally influences your behavior in a positive way. So what happens if this energy gateway is blocked by a misplaced doormat? You might be using a mat that is too small, or placing it off-center, worn out and forgotten. Every day you step over it as if it were nothing, yet in that moment, you are stepping over a stream of energy that is supposed to nurture your life. Picture this, a river flowing into fertile land. But if you block it with rocks, trash, or redirect it the wrong way, will anything grow there? Wealth works the same way. It does not need to be mystical to exist. Your living space simply needs to invite it properly. Positioning your doormat correctly is not just about cleanliness. It is a ritual for welcoming prosperity. It is how you speak to the universe. I am ready to receive. And right now, I will reveal the 5 most common mistakes people make with their doormats. Simple errors that silently push good luck out of their lives. Keep watching, because fixing just one of these small details can create a major shift you will feel. Most people place a doormat simply out of habit. They think it is a small detail, nothing that could possibly affect their life. But the truth is, even one small mistake at the front door is enough to block the flow of positive energy. And in hundreds of homes inspected by Feng Shui experts, these 5 common mistakes appear again and again, almost frighteningly often. You are about to find out what they are. Mistake 1. Using a doormat that is too small, unable to hold the wealth energy. Imagine inviting a very special guest into your home, someone who could bring you opportunities, money, and good fortune. But when they arrive at your door, the only space you give them to stand is tiny, cramped, uncomfortable. Would they want to stay? In Feng Shui, wealth is treated the same way, like an honored guest. It needs to be welcomed with a sense of openness, spaciousness, and subtle invitation. And all of that begins with the doormat. The mistake most people make is choosing a mat that is far too small for their front door. Usually, these are the cheap mats sold at supermarkets. Modest in size, barely large enough for 1 foot. They think, it is just a doormat, why would it matter? But that very mindset quietly drains the energy of your living space. In Feng Shui, the doormat is the first energy filter. It receives everything from outside, from physical dust to cosmic vibrations. When you place a tiny mat in front of a large door, you are sending a very clear signal: I am not ready to receive. It creates a feeling of restriction and lack of openness, as if you are shrinking the flow of fortune itself. Even Western design psychology agrees, a mat that is too small makes the entryway feel off balance and underwhelming. It sends a subtle message of temporary and unprepared, not just to guests, but to you every time you step through that door. That tiny sense of inadequacy seeps into your mind over time. You begin to feel not ready for something greater, not worthy of bigger opportunities. It may be subtle, but it builds quietly, like an invisible suggestion that repeats daily. A simple Feng Shui principle says, the more open the space, the easier energy flows in. What welcomes big, invites big. The ideal doormat should be at least as wide as your front door. Even better, let it extend about 8 to 12 inches beyond each side. This creates balance, harmony, and a feeling of intentional welcome rather than hesitation. If your home has double doors, do not use a small mat centered awkwardly between them. Choose a large rectangular mat that spans the entire doorway. The sense of solid, inviting, abundant not only looks beautiful, but also establishes a positive energy field the moment someone steps inside. Feng Shui is not about superstition. It is the art of creating harmony between you and your space, and even a detail as small as the doormat, when placed correctly, becomes the very first invitation for prosperity to step in. Mistake 2. Using a dirty, worn, or torn mat. Accumulating invisible negative energy. If the doormat at your front door is faded, filthy, or fraying, stop for a moment and ask yourself, what am I inviting into my home? A worn-out mat might seem harmless. It just sits there, silently. But in Feng Shui, this is the very first thing that touches the energy of the outside world, and also the first thing that filters what enters inside. Think of it like lungs. If they are dirty, they cannot breathe properly. They suffocate. And so does your home. A dirty, torn mat is where stagnant energy gathers, the kind of cold, heavy negativity that slows everything down. This is not superstition. It is common sense. Dirt equals bacteria, equals heaviness and clutter. When you step across that mat every day, you are not just stepping over fabric. You are stepping over repeated patterns of stagnation and scarcity. Have you ever noticed how homes with sad energy usually start with forgotten details? Broken lights that never get fixed, doors that squeak without oil, and especially neglected doormats. Environmental psychology confirms this. Small signs of neglect affect how we perceive ourselves and our space. If you cannot care for what is at your threshold, your subconscious quietly whispers, I do not deserve anything cleaner, fresher, better. Feng Shui calls this trapped bad energy. A mat acts like a dust trap, but if not cleaned regularly, it becomes a reservoir of polluted energy, and that energy does not stay at the door. It follows you inside, spreading through the house. From a spiritual perspective, anything old and broken carries old memories. Negative emotions from past arguments, worries, or stress can linger. Step over that mat day after day, and you unknowingly repeat those energies. The rule is simple. Your doormat must always be clean, sturdy, and strong enough to hold good energy, push out bad energy. Schedule regular cleaning. If the mat is too old, replace it without hesitation. This is not just buying home decor. It is an investment in resetting your home's energy field. Here is a simple ritual you can do. When replacing your old mat, wash your hands and feet, hold the new mat, and softly say, I choose this mat to welcome a fresh, clean, and peaceful beginning for my home. Small as it seems, this sends a powerful signal to your subconscious, to your space, and to the universe. Because sometimes, new doors only open when you close what is long overdue. Mistake 3. Wrong colors or patterns. Activating negative energy. Have you ever walked into a place and felt uneasy or chilled without knowing why? Often the reason lies in color. The same applies to your doormat. Feng Shui treats color as an energy activator. Each color corresponds to one of the 5 elements: red to fire, green to wood, white to metal, and so on. When a color harmonizes with the house's direction, it invites prosperity and protects positive energy. But the wrong color can create energetic conflict, quietly triggering stress or imbalance. Imagine living in a north-facing house, water element, and placing a red mat, fire element, at the door. In Feng Shui, this means fire confronting water, a strong clash that disrupts stability and blocks positive energy from entering. The result? Financial leaks, strained relationships, and a constant sense of heaviness without clear reason. Extreme colors can also backfire. Overly bright neon shades, like electric yellow or sharp orange, cause restless, unstable energy, similar to flickering lights that make you lose focus. Conversely, overly dark mats, deep black, muddy brown, heavy gray, can feel closed off, signaling "do not enter" to fortune and opportunity. As for patterns, avoid harsh shapes, chaotic designs, hooks, arrows, or aggressive motifs. Many people buy mats simply because they look cool, without realizing they are placing symbols of cutting, stabbing, or rejection right at their threshold. These patterns accidentally act as codes that repel good luck. So what is the safe principle? Choose colors by house direction. East or southeast homes, green tones, wood. West or northwest homes, white, light yellow, gray metal. South homes, red, orange, purple, fire. North homes, blue, black, water. Northeast or southwest homes, earthy browns, sandy yellows, earth. Patterns should be minimal. Soft curves, round shapes, or gentle traditional motifs. If you are unsure of your home's direction, choose neutral shades like light beige, wood brown, or muted navy. These create a grounded, welcoming feel that works with most American home styles. The real key is not blind belief in rules. It is asking yourself, how does this color and pattern make me and my guests feel when they step inside? If the answer is heavy, chaotic, or simply off, it is time to change. Positive energy is always knocking, but if your doorway is screaming "do not come in" through its colors and symbols, do not be surprised when fortune passes you by. Mistake 4. Misaligned or crooked. Mats, creating a path of misdirection. Picture walking up to a house. The front door is wide open, yet the doormat sits crooked, pushed to one side, as if kicked away in haste. How does that make you feel? You might not consciously notice, but your subconscious does. In Feng Shui, alignment, balance, symmetry are crucial principles. They create stability, harmony, and a sense of right direction. Misaligned or skewed objects, especially at the front door, disrupt energy flow, causing chaos and scattering prosperity. A crooked mat subconsciously signals that things are off in this space. It might not seem serious immediately, but over time, it fosters subtle feelings of disorientation, as if you are always compensating for something misaligned. Eastern thought calls this misaligned energy flow, where energy entering the home bends, collides, or disperses instead of flowing smoothly. Western psychology supports this too. Environments with crooked frames, unbalanced lighting, or tilted mats subtly tire the brain, forcing it to fix the imbalance visually. Even unnoticed, your mind is working overtime to correct the image. The result? Mental fatigue, poor focus, difficulty staying on track with goals, all triggered by a daily micro-stress you never realized was there. Crooked mats also pose physical hazards, tripping risks for children, elders, or anyone carrying items. Practically and symbolically, this represents obstacles, instability, and lack of control. What should you do? Always align the mat perfectly, parallel with the door and walls. When you open the door, the very first sight should be a mat that feels straight, steady, and secure. Use non-slip pads or heavier mats so they do not shift. Check weekly, adjust if necessary. Treat it as a small ritual of saying, I am realigning my life's direction. Want to take it further? Imagine the doormat as an energy compass. Every time you step on it, you are placing your first foot on a new path. If the mat is crooked, you are beginning your journey from the wrong angle. Feng Shui does not force belief. It invites experience. Adjusting your mat takes only seconds, yet it can rekindle the clarity and calm you might be missing. Because fortune does not arrive just when you wish for it. It arrives when you create a clear, straight path for it to find you. Mistake 5. Using the wrong material or cheap quality. Failing to hold good energy. At first glance, a doormat seems like nothing more than a spot to wipe your shoes. But in Feng Shui, it is also a keeper of energy. The place that welcomes and regulates energy entering your home. That is why the material matters. A lot. Yet many people make the same mistake. Choosing mats that are too cheap, flimsy, or worse, made of industrial rubber that smells of chemicals and feels sticky underfoot. They buy these mats because they are inexpensive and easy to replace. But when placed at your doorway, they act like a flimsy barrier, incapable of guiding, holding, or filtering energy properly. You think you are protecting your home, but really, you are letting positive energy slip away. Feng Shui calls this energy leakage. Wealth, luck, opportunities. They arrive at your door, but cannot stay. It is like filling a cup that has a hole at the bottom. Water keeps flowing, but the cup never fills. Beyond energy, low-quality rubber or synthetic mats can build static electricity, give off plastic odors, or create an unpleasant sticky feeling underfoot. Environmental psychology finds that these subtle discomforts lower relaxation levels as soon as you step inside. First impressions matter. If the first step into your home feels off, your body silently judges the space ahead as less safe, less welcoming. Natural fiber mats, like jute, cotton, or soft woven blends, are different. They feel sturdy, friendly, and warm. These materials hold energy the way a favorite pillow holds familiar scent. They help transition outside energy gently into the home, without abrupt breaks. The principle for good material is natural, sturdy, easy to clean, free of unpleasant odors. Because energy cannot flow through a surface it does not trust. One more subtle factor: sound. Cheap rubber mats squeak or slap when stepped on. Natural mats sound soft, grounded, and safe. That subtle sound shapes your energy experience each time you come home. You can save money in many areas, but the threshold, the very spot where fortune enters, is not where you should compromise. A good doormat does not need to be expensive, but it must feel solid, clean, pleasant, and reliable enough to welcome prosperity. Because if the threshold is where energy first pauses, the doormat is the very first voice telling the universe, "Welcome to my home. Here you are meant to stay." Choosing a doormat might sound simple, but once you understand its deep role in Feng Shui, you will realize this is no longer just about wiping your feet clean. It is the very first action to establish a connection between your living space and the invisible energy around you. The first thing to consider is size. Many homeowners choose mats barely large enough for a single step, thinking it looks tidy. But in Feng Shui, the doormat represents the welcoming zone for energy. If that zone is too narrow, it creates a sense of limitation and blocks the flow of prosperity. A doormat that is large enough, extending beyond the width of the door, sends a signal that you are opening yourself to receive good things. Western audiences understand this instinctively. since spacious, inviting entryways are one of the first things people notice when stepping into any home. Next comes the material. Often overlooked, yet deeply meaningful. Cheap synthetic rubber or plastic mats may seem convenient, but they feel cold, stiff, and unfriendly underfoot. They slip easily, hold unpleasant odors, and create a sense of discomfort. In contrast, natural materials like jute, cotton, or even soft wool provide a warm, gentle sensation, like a subtle hug beneath your feet. These materials are not just physically comfortable, they hold positive energy, acting like a soft energy cushion for both guests and homeowners. And then there is color, equally important. In American homes, color is not just a style preference, it is emotion. A mismatched, overly dark or glaringly bright mat can disrupt harmony at the entrance, subtly creating emotional distance. In Feng Shui, each house direction corresponds to colors that activate beneficial energy. But if you are not familiar with these principles, simply choose a color that makes you feel at ease, calm, and happy to linger at your doorstep. That is the right color. Patterns matter too, and here less is more. Simple, balanced, and soft, designs tend to invite positive energy more easily than chaotic, sharp, or overly complex ones. In a modern American mindset already overloaded with visual noise, simplicity at the front door does more than soothe. It quietly resets your energy every time you come home. One small but crucial detail: cleanliness and alignment. No matter how beautiful a mat may be, if it is dusty, crooked, or flipped up at the corners, it is silently telling the universe that you are not yet ready for order and good fortune. Conversely, a mat kept aligned with the edge of the door, flat and stable, visually symbolizes harmony and stability, like stepping onto a perfectly paved path, where everything feels smoother, clearer, and more achievable. You do not need to be a Feng Shui expert to get this right. You only need to pay closer attention. Look at your doormat as if it were a spiritual gateway and ask yourself, am I treating this threshold the way I want life to treat me in return? Sometimes changing a doormat is not just about improving curb appeal. It is quietly reshaping the flow of energy in your entire life. Choosing the right doormat is the first step, but if you want to truly activate the flow of prosperity, there is a small, simple ritual you can do right at your doorstep, one that carries surprisingly powerful results. This is not a religious ceremony. It is an act of connection between you, your home, and the energy you are inviting in. A small gesture that sends a clear message: I am actively creating my own good fortune. On a Monday morning, or at the start of a new month, symbolic moments for new beginnings, clean the mat gently with a cloth dampened in clean water. For an energetic boost, you may add a few drops of orange, lemon, or peppermint essential oil, scents long believed in many cultures to activate prosperity energy. While cleaning, do it calmly, with intention and gratitude. Softly speak an affirmation, such as, I welcome new opportunities, prosperity, and peace into my home today. This simple statement, paired with the mindful act of caring for the mat, the very first point of energy entry, creates a subtle but powerful shift in vibration. You do not need absolute belief. Simply doing it with focus is enough. Soon you will feel something change, light but unmistakable. Just as cleaning a window lets you see clearly, cleaning your doormat clears the invisible layer, blocking good energy from entering. And sometimes a ritual this small is all it takes to start moving fortune in your favor. If you have ever felt that your luck comes and goes like a passing breeze, it might not be coincidence. It could start with something so small you have never noticed, like the doormat at your front door. The good news is, changing even one small detail today can open an entirely new doorway for tomorrow. This is the promise, from your home, from the universe, and from within yourself. Before you leave, write a positive affirmation in the comments. For example, I welcome good opportunities into my life, starting today. This is not just a phrase. It is a signal you send out to the world. And if you found this video helpful, do not forget to subscribe, so every week you will have another small step to bring more balance, good fortune, and peace into your everyday life.